Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how you can crochet these cute duck or goose keychains. And I say or because you can use this pattern to make either, you just may need to use different colored yarn for certain parts. So I'm going to be crocheting the goose, and so for the body I will be using this white yarn. Then I will be using this mustard yellow yarn for the beaks. Then I will use this light pink yarn for the blush. And then I have these two black buttons for the eyes. Lastly, you're going to need your crochet hook, and I'm going to be using the Susan Bates 6mm crochet hook. So to start off, we are going to be making a magic circle or a magic ring, and to do that you want to place the yarn between your thumb and two of your fingers, and then you're going to wrap the yarn around your fingers to form an X. And then you want to grab your yarn, and the one that's on the bottom, you just want to place your crochet hook under there. And then once you've placed it under there like that, you're going to move it to the top and then grab the yarn that was on the front in the beginning to the top. And then you're going to grab some yarn and pull through to make like a chain. And then we have our magic circle or our ring. Now to start the circle, we are going to be single crocheting. So you want to insert your hook into the circle and then get some yarn, and then you just want to pull through, and then so you should have 2 loops on your hook, and then you're going to pull through another piece of yarn, and then you're just going to continue until you have 6 single crochets in total. So once you're done, it should look something like this. So now we are going to be doing increases in every stitch, which means that we're just going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch. So there's our first, and then there's our second, and then you're going to move on to the next one. And so in the end, you should have 12 single crochets in total. Now it should look something like this. So now we're going to continue increasing, but this time we're going to increase in every 2. So we're first going to single crochet, and then we're going to increase in the next one. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in that one, and then we're just going to repeat that. So we're going to single crochet in this next one, and then after that we're going to do an increase. And then you're just going to keep doing that until you're done, and you should have a total of 18 single crochets after. So this is what it should look like, and now we're going to increase in every 3. So you're first going to single crochet in your first, and then your second one, and then in your third one you're going to increase. So you're going to do your 2 single crochets in that, and then you're just going to continue this process until you have 24 single crochets in total, or also until you get to the end. Now we are going to make our circle even bigger, and so now we're just going to increase in every 4 this time. So you're going to do your single crochets in the first 3 stitches. And then once you get to your 4th stitch, you're going to do your increase. And now you're just going to continue until you're finished, and you should have a total of 32 single crochets. Lastly, we are going to increase in every 5. So you're first going to do your single crochets in the first 4 stitches. And now you're just going to increase. And then you're going to continue this process, so your 4 single crochets and then your increase until you have a total of 42 single crochets. Now we're just going to single crochet all around here. So just do your normal single crochets into every stitch, and you should have a total of 42 single crochets when you're done. Now you want to do that 4 more times. So once you're done, it should look something like this. So now we're going to start closing it up. So to do that, we are going to do a decrease in every 5. So you're first going to start off by doing single crochets in the first 4 stitches. And then once you're done, we're going to do our decrease, which is where you insert your hook in and pull some yarn, but then instead of adding more yarn, you're going to go into the next one and then pull some more yarn. So now you should have 3 loops on your hook, and then you're going to grab some yarn and then pull all the way through those 3 loops. Then you just want to continue until you're all done. Now we're going to decrease in every 4. So you're going to do your single crochets in your first 3 stitches. So once you're on your 4th stitch, you're going to do your decrease, and now you're just going to continue this until you get to the end. So you're going to do your 3 single crochets and then your decrease. Now we're going to pause on the body real quick and work on the face. We will need our crochet hook, so just make your loop big so you don't lose it, and put it all to the side. And now I'm going to take my mustard yellow yarn and start making the beak. And so to make that, I'm going to be making a magic circle, so like we did before, where we create the X. And then once you have your magic circle, you're going to want to do 6 single crochets into that circle. So once you are done, you're going to crochet 2 chains extending from our last chain, so 1 and 2, and then into our next one we're going to do an increase, and you're going to do increases in every single stitch until you have 12 in total. Now the last thing we're doing is we're going to do decreases, and we're gonna do this to give it like that outer shape. So we're going to do a decrease in every single stitch, and just like what we did for the body, you're going to insert your hook and pull some yarn, and then do that for the next stitch, and then pull all the way through. And you're going to keep doing that until you're all the way back to the start. So you should have a total of 6 decreases. Once you're finished, you just have to now do your slip stitch into the next one, and then you can just start cleaning it up afterwards. I recommend tying it up and then not cutting too much yarn strands, so then you can use those strands to stitch it onto our body later. Now let's put it onto the body. have your yarn on the needle, you can place the beak on your body. And it doesn't really matter where you place it since it's all one color, so there's no significant pattern that would change depending on where you place it. But anyways, how you want to sew it is you want to sew it on from the bottom, so you do not want to sew it from where the decrease is. Think of it like under the decrease is kind of where you want to sew it on. So don't sew it near the decrease because that's what makes it look like a mouth. Sew it from under the decrease. You also want to sew it on like a zigzag pattern, so you want to go in and then out, in and then out. So if you're inserting your needle in from the outside, then you're going to go into the next one going out from the inside. Once you are done with your strands of yarn, make sure they're on the inside because then you can tie it nicely up and then you don't have to cut it too short, which makes it less likely to want to become loose or even fall off. Now let's add the eyes. So for the eyes, you want to place them right beside the beak on the left and the right, and you want to leave like a little gap between them, but for the most part the eyes should be pretty close to the beak, and so the beak will end up being right in the middle. So depending on what your buttons look like, it'll be a bit different to sew it on, but for me, they have this kind of like loop, so then when I sew it on, I'll just sew through it and onto our body. Here's how it looks like so far. So the last thing we're going to add to the face is the blush. So for the blush, we're actually not going to be crocheting it. Instead, we're kind of sewing it on. So you want to use a needle for this, and then you're just going to attach your yarn onto it. Then with your needle, you're going to insert it in a little far from the eye, but then when you pull it out, it'll be close. So for me, it was about like 3 single crochets in there, and then you're going to pull it out, and then you're going to go right back in that same spot, so then you create like a loop, and you're just going to continue this until it looks nice and fluffy. And then like we did to the beak, we are going to tie up our yarn on the inside. So you want to make sure 2 of the strands are pushed in on the inside, and then you can tie it up and then cut off. Not too short, but also not too long. And then once you're done, you're going to do that exact same thing on the other side. Now that we're done the face, we can now continue again on the body. So now we're going to be doing a decrease in every 3 stitches. So you're going to do a single crochet in the first 2 stitches. And then on your 3rd one, you're going to do your decrease. And then you're going to keep continuing this until you get to the end. before we continue, I'm going to add some stuffing. So the stuffing I'll be using is this one by Loops and Threads, and I'm going to grab a handful and then put it aside, and then I'll slowly put it in to get a nice shape for the goose, and whatever I don't need I can always just take out. Once you're satisfied with your stuffing, you can put your crochet hook back into the loop, and now we are going to be doing a decrease in every 2. So you're going to do your first single crochet in the first stitch, and then you're going to do your decrease. And then you're just going to continue doing that until you get to the end. Lastly, you want to do a decrease in every stitch now, and so you're going to do your first decrease, and then you're just going to keep doing that until you're done. So now you should have a hole like this, and so now we are going to cut off this from our yarn, and it should be pretty long because we are actually going to use this to close it together, and then you just want to pull it through and then you can tie it up. Then you want to insert your yarn into your needle, and then we are going to start sewing this up. The way you want to close this up is from these little stitches that we made previously from our decreases. We're going to go in them from the outside, and then we're going to go out from the inside. So kind of like what we did with the beak. And now you just want to keep doing that until you're completely done going all around. Now we can finally add our keychain, and depending on which one you're going to use, it might be easier or harder for you. Mine here doesn't really have a way you can open it, so I'm going to show you guys a way you can attach your plushie to your keychain with it being really strong, and also if you don't have a way you can open it up like mine. So you first want to start off by grabbing your yarn and then tying it up to the yarn strand that is attached to the head of the goose. Once you're done, you're going to make a slip knot before we can start, and then you can just pull through a little bit so that it's a bit tinier, and then you're going to want to grab your crochet hook, and then you want to start chaining. So once you have it, you can just chain like normal, and you want to chain a total of 5 chains. So once you're done making your chains, you're just going to snip off the yarn and then you can pull it through. And now we're going to put this into our keychain. So if yours again is like mine or even the same, you're just going to pull the chain through it. And then so now we can create this little loop. And so now you're just going to kind of tie this off and then you're going to put this inside so it's nice and tight. Now the very last step is to just tidy everything up, the keychain and any other parts that may not be tidy already. So here is the final look of the goose. I am so happy with how it turned out and it looks so adorable, especially the little face and its little beaks, and it's so squishy and soft, and the keychain turned out so well too, and I feel like this will be very strong. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you found it very helpful and I hope to see you guys again soon. Bye!